Hello everyone, I'm ImKibitz and welcome back to Satisfactory, where we have finished up gathering 28,800 copper ore per minute, so we could refine it into 72,000 copper ingots, and all of which is turned into 12,000 copper powder per minute, which will all be used for a single space elevator part, one of the final four, nuclear pasta. And with all that powder processed, we'll be able to run 120 particle accelerators and make 60 nuclear pasta per minute. Because the pasta only needs two items, copper powder and pressure conversion cubes, which we automated a long time ago. And so, that leaves only one part left to the project, building 120 particle accelerators throughout this biome, each of which will need 1,500 megawatts to run, which equates to a cool 180,000 megawatts of power for one project. Don't even get me started about overclocking, which we might do, but we'll see. Good news at least is that since we have such a massive nuclear power plant, we don't need to worry about the power too much, unless something weird happens, which means we are just good to rock and roll and automate nuclear pasta. And I've made some changes since we were last here. Project Hoos is up on the hill there. The trains have been reorganized. And I've been putting a lot of thought into how the heck we could build 120 of these and make them look cool. Because individually, they're awesome. They're also huge and have a really weird shape, which is why I chose this biome for the project, because we have lots of space, which we will need. But you know what doesn't have a lot of space? Our blueprint makers. They can only really handle like one particle accelerator. Like, how am I supposed to work with that? I need to build 120 of these things. I can't even fit two in a row? Seriously? Unless we did forbidden techniques. But would this look cool? That's the biggest question of all. This project has to look freaking awesome, brother. Nothing less will stand. Maybe this could look cool if we like had three together. Why doesn't that work? No, we're not doing this. I think at the end of the day, we're just gonna have to make a lot of small blueprints. And my initial idea was to have like an island chain of these little blueprints dotted around the entire biome. Like it could look pretty cool, like you're going around, then you have all of these things set up, maybe in like a little windmill pattern. And if I worked on the spacing a little bit, we'd have like these little half circles full of like technology, and we'd have belts and electricity flying everywhere, and that could be pretty neat. Except, you know what would happen then? I'd essentially be recreating our plutonium coliseum, which uses the exact same concept. So then, what is plan B? Well, plan B was a little unhinged. I was thinking of making a bunch of giant circles, and then having like little hockey puck islands all throughout this biome here. But again, kinda would look like the Coliseum at the end of the day. But also, if you start working with circles, things get terrible. Just terrible. But then instead of circles, the idea kind of got squished, and I was thinking, oh, what if we could squish these blueprints together and use like the outside as like a detail? And then like we could stack all these particle accelerators all the way up and it looks so crazy. And then I realized, oh yeah, I've practically reinvented the Hellspire concept except with particle accelerators, because these are all made up of refineries. And so now, after having this kind of like island archipelago of particle accelerators idea in my head forever, we're back at square zero, because I don't want to be derivative. However, we are working with particle accelerators. Good thing is, they are not hard to make look cool. And if we just had like huge rows of them, that on its own looks pretty awesome. Especially once they're all up and running, or if we give them a bit of a paint job, maybe silver, gold, whatever. And then we got a bunch of belts of pasta flying around, some lights. Yeah, I think we can cook something up with this. And I'm thinking if we look down a row of 15 particle accelerators, that would look awesome, right? It has to. Like I'm imagining it'd have some kind of trippy infinity mirror effect. Or at least that's what I'm hoping this will look like. Yeah, though, that does look absolutely freaking amazing. And imagine like a belt of like pasta running through, like maybe through like the little loops down here. Oh my gosh, that looks so cool. Yes, I think we have a concept. Now we just have to do that 7 more times. And ideally, in a very, very, very cool building. Because I do like the open concept situation. I have a feeling with the particle accelerators, a lot of cool details will be lost in the sauce if there's too much busyness around them. Like say we take these out, right? You have this thing that starts glowing. You have the loop, of course, doing its little spin arounds where particles accelerate. You have the electricity effects. But even here's a pretty good example. There's so much going on like behind this machine. It's just too much. So what's the solution, Kibitz? I don't know. I don't know. I do think we have solved a few variables though. Number one, yeah, I think all of this has to move somewhere. Number two, thankfully I had a bit of foresight and I've started to stack materials for the project, but this is clearly not enough. And number three, we have to encase each of these rows so we get like the cool visual effect when you look down them. Okay, so I'll start stacking up on items as we work, but I'm thinking we're gonna have the main accelerator building right over here. Centralized in the biome and also over the oil. Like at any rate, we're gonna be collecting that oil, baby. That's mine. So we'll just make a path over here. Just casually rebuild the entire train station, no biggie. Oh man, yeah, that's why you gotta love editing, am I right? Indeed, barely an inconvenience, except for that one freaking oil platform, you little busta. Why did you have to be right there in the middle of my ideas? It is what it is. A lot of the trains are moved over now. We've got a bunch just from all over the world that are bringing copper powder to this location. With some of it being locally produced, but we'll just belt that over or something later. Main thing is all these trains. This is gonna be the most annoying part for sure, because we are getting copper powder from pretty much every part of the entire world. From over here, we have the Hellspires. We raided the Rocky Desert. There's an unholy pit with 4,000 CPOW in it. Yeah, it's all over the place. And with unloading that from all over the place, the throughput of material is gonna be crazy. But past Kibbs has been a lad. He's thought about this a lot over the many hours this project has taken. And I got a good plan. A good plan that was ruined by aesthetics. So I want the train stations to be oriented like this. That's because we have 5 platforms going in this direction, meaning there's a center, and design-wise, having a center helps things out considerably. But it also means we're missing a train station. This train's going to the pit, this train's going to the Rocky Desert, this is going to the grass fields, and then I have 4 train stations I need to go to the Dune Desert. But we only have room on our platform for 3. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have 2 of those train stations actually go to 1 unloading station at the project here. So stations 3 and 4 will unload 2,000 copper powder per minute right here. And it shouldn't actually be too big of a problem. And because we have the 4 freight cars, that means that each output freight platform, we just need to unload 500 material per minute. And considering we have the Mark 6 belts that can handle 1,200 items per minute, and we can have 2 of those attached to each platform, makes me think that this idea could actually work. And then from there, all these freight platforms have to connect to at least 1 bin, which also conveniently have the 2 inputs, and then that's half the battle. The rest of it is just setting up the bins for everything else, which we can conveniently boop. Got to love it, eh? Yes, this entire project is gonna be a lot of busy work and tracking numbers and a lot of nonsense. All this belt work you see in front of you is actually ridiculously simple. Pretty much, all of these trains are bringing in tons of items. Like for example, this train here is gonna bring in 4,000 copper powder per minute. But the trains downstairs, well, this one is gonna have freight cars of 250 per minute. These freight cars, 500 per minute, etc., through all the trains, throughout all the world. So I've had to keep track of all those numbers, and what I've tried to do upstairs is try to balance them out just a little bit when they're being unloaded. So now, for this train, we have 6 freight cars unloading 4,000 ore, which gives us a really messy number to work with as an output. So through a series of mergers and splitters and balancers, like this little 2 to 3 one here, I managed to make all of these belts equal 750 per minute, which kind of just worked out conveniently, because that way we end up with 16 of these 750 belts, and that works perfectly with how I want to set up the particle accelerators. because in each row, each machine will need 100 copper powder per minute. If we have rows of 15, that means we need 1,500 copper powder per row, which is 2 belts of 750 copper powder, which I have conveniently organized everything into. We'll take belts 1, 2, send it into one of the 8 rows of accelerators, and call it a day. Easy peasy. Almost. Kind of. Well, when we get to building the accelerators, it will be. There's one problem with how I set this up though, and that is, although the belts are organized and balanced in the way I'd like, the trains are gonna be coming in at different times. Like again, this train, it's just gonna come from over the hills there. Other trains are gonna be traveling to the other side of the planet and back though. So throughput rates for those trains might be wonky. And that means, with all of these belts, we need to make a load balancer here. A 16 to 16 load balancer. What, Kibitz, is a load balancer? Well, when you have inputs of unequal amounts, you want outputs of equal amounts. Some things that can cause inequality on the input side could be train throughput, could be machine rates, whatever. What a load balancer tries to do is it splits and merges the belts so that the material is balanced out evenly. And I have lots of blueprints for all this. I have like 2 to 2s, 2 to 3s, 3 to 2s, 3 to 3s, and then the 6 to 6 one I use like once for our nuclear power plant. I was just kind of building it for fun, to be honest. And all of these are available on the Patreon. But what blueprint is curiously missing, you might ask? Oh, I don't know. E4 to 4 one. Yes, we need to make another load balancer that does 4 inputs to 4 outputs. It should be less complicated than this, but that's okay. But Kibitz, I thought you needed a load balance 16 belts. Correct, very astute of you. And here's my little plan. Essentially, we'll make a 4 to 4 balancer. Pretend this is a 4 to 4 balancer. We will build that 4 times. Once we have 4 of those, we will balance those out, those 16 inputs, through another set of 4 balancers. And then from the first set here, if we redistribute these belts across the other load balancers we just put together, then by the end of the day, the inputs from here will go through all of this and we'll have 16 outputs that are equal. At least I think, I don't know. Thank goodness though, we have throughput monitors now in the game. So at any rate, we will absolutely use those to see if it works. But step 1 is making that 4 to 4 balancer. I'll make that in a Mark II blueprint maker, so most people can use it when I upload it to Patreon. So step 1 is just getting each of the inputs to the designated output. So whatever's on belt 1 will also go to belt 2, and also to belt 3. Oh, it also needs to go to belt 4. Oh no, oh no, dude. I can see why I never built this before. We have to build another set of splitters in here. Oh, dude. Okay, as I was saying, the outputs need to go to each of the mergers. So you go up here, there. I guess we can use this input. Go all the way out and around to the bottom again. Wait, that first layer already goes to the bottom. Wait, where does this need to go? Oh my gosh, this is confusing me. I'm doing this wrong. How do I do this without going insane? We need to start like 1 layer at a time here. So if we're starting at the very bottom, we want to make this scalable. We need to keep track of all this. So we go from the bottom layer, now we go to the second layer, our third layer. So we have the first layer, second layer, third layer. And we need 1 more belt to go to the 4th layer. So we'll build this way out of dodge. You will scoot over, you will scoot out. Okay, so what have we done? Whatever belt goes in here is distributed to these 4 mergers. Step 1 complete. Step 2, same deal. Where layer 2 now has to go to each of these mergers as well. This is where the load balancers get a little crazy because there's so much stuff going on. As the machines grow, I start losing my marbles. Okay, this is kind of working out. Second layer goes to the middle, second layer goes to the bottom. Second layer is going to the third one, and then we just need the second layer to go to the top. So again, we'll just use another conveyor lift. And I'm spraying them out quite a bit because we still have the other belts to put in, right? I don't want to block off my space. All right, not bad. No, wait, it's so bad. We still have the 2 top layers to merge into here, but you might notice there's no merger inputs left. We have to build more mergers. I see why I never built this nonsense. Oh, it was a mess, an absolute mess. But after 1 million years of building and then rebuilding to make more squished, I got it. Oh my goodness. All 3 layers now go to all of the different layers of outputs. This is a 4-to-4 balancer. Man, that is a lot more complicated than a 3-to-3. It's because the splitters down here have the 3 outputs. It made things so convenient. You get to 4 and this starts to happen. But we're good, we're done. Now, here comes the fun part, where we have to build this 4 times. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oh my gosh, we have to go from each of those bins to each of these inputs. It's gonna look wild. But we got our 4 there. And then those just have to all go into another set of 4-to-4 balancers. So again, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the last stage to make this all work is we now have to go from balancer to balancer, sending each of these belts into a different balancer, which will look a little something like this, except, you know, times 4. But at least we have plenty of space for this. Oh no, don't even pretend to think about this, Kibitz. You know you won't do this. Please don't even try this. It won't work. It won't work. Kibitz, stop it. You can't build a 16-to-16 balancer in a blueprint. Oh, technically, actually, yeah, you know what? If this was squished up, or if I decided to actually like clip things together, man, I think you could, but no, stop it. We have 120 particle accelerators to build right now, and you have enough on your plate. And also, this entire thing is just getting started. Like, making it operational is one thing. Then there's gonna be the whole stage of making it look cool. I should really start to think about that. One thing we can do is we can lower this floor quite a bit. Just underneath here is a train line, but that's all. So maybe we can have like a lowered metal foundation, just going down a bit. Ooh, and then we can have all of the outputs organized over there. That'll actually be super, super handy, because then as belts come in from the trains, we can either go down into the lower balancers, or we can go up into a different set. In fact, is that good positioning? I think so. Yeah, I don't think items will clip through there. So you know what? This might not be too bad. That is all 16 inputs. We'll mirror that at the end of the line, and then it'll just have just a horrific amount of spaghetti all throughout the middle here. Speaking of horrors, is that a box? Crate? Demon, go away. We got our 14.6 trillion belts to balance. And in fact, they already are. And it was not bad at all. There's so much space in between here. It's no biggie. Just try to make it relatively compact. And it ended up looking a little weird, not gonna lie. But hey, it should technically, for real, work. So all the train outputs get stacked onto this huge belt highway. And yeah, having the lower balancers helped out a ton, because some of the belts could go low, again, some could go high. Aesthetically, it looks great, and who knows, this might be even a feature of the entire build, if it actually works. So after the second set of balancers, everything ends up all the way over here onto what should be 16 fully balanced 750 belts of copper powder. We just will have to measure it by setting up 16 awesome sinks, along with all of the throughput monitors. Oh, you know what else we need? We're gonna need the copper powder itself on location. I built the train stations, I've built the tracks, I just have to run around and wrangle the trains. And also name some of the stations. What's this one called? 4000 CPOW in? I have no idea. I just know we're gonna be using our hypertube cannons a lot to find out where the trains went. Where's that train even going? Wait, is this still online? It is. Not good. That train track's done. This is the train that's going to be going to the top there. So why am I passing by it? We just need to go in, turn this on. Next stop is unreachable. You're unreachable. Why? What did I do? Or what did I not do? Is this actually not connected? It has to be. Enhance. Do we have a problem? I probably don't have the same station name. Or no, that train's still trying to get to this station. Oh. But little does that train know that this doesn't exist. But if that's gone, what happens with Billy? Billy's gone. No, Billy. Did you go to pick up more copper powder? Sir, you don't even know where to go once you even have the powder. Why would you go back here? Are you scared? It's okay. I'm scared too. What are you doing? You live here now, I see. But now if we add that in, that's technically the new station. Save, self-driving's on, and then we'll hear a little bit of a true once you're done your docking process. Now off we go through the woods, literally. And that is the first train set up to go that way. Great. Next, you don't go there. Go nowhere. You are actually gonna start going, to nowhere. Yeah, I still have to go back over there, rename the train stops, then travel around the world, resetting each of the locomotives. Cool, that'll only take no time. Yeah, no, that took a couple minutes, but it's a simple thing. So no biggie, everything is brought in and going to the 16 awesome sinks for now, so we can conduct our throughput test and balancer test have all of the throughput monitors all set up. They are all reading 780 because we want them to be 750. So I was like, switching to a lower tier belt might help with measurements. But for a long time, these belts are gonna be maxed out because we have so much copper powder in storage. I've been working on this project for weeks. So we probably have maybe close to 1 million copper powder just sitting around in the world, just in like bins and stuff. So we'll have to wait for all of that to clear out. Then we'll start to see like if any of this stuff is actually working. Or most importantly, if our super massive belt balancer is. And so far, I have no idea, dude. This is as confusing as it is to you, as it is to me. I don't know what I've created really. Everything's moving though, everything's grooving though. So we're chilling. And since I was working on this project for quite some time, I had a really, really important realization, which makes me even more chillin'. Big chillin', you could say. And that is, the throughput is gonna be fine for this project, no matter how many trains we have set up, because of the stack sizes. So each freight car can hold 32 stacks of items. Most items are in stacks of 100, so most freight cars can move 3,200 items. But with copper powder, they stack in 500. So 500 times 32 is 16,000 items. One freight car can move, which is insane. And like down here, we have some of these trains and freight cars with only like 250 items per minute it's trying to move through, or 500. On the higher end, it's like 600 and a bit, but like, it's all gonna be fine. Those stack sizes just make everything almost irrelevant. The real problem that we'll probably run into with the copper powder is some of the systems I've built throughout the world are just not gonna be like working at 100%, but that is a problem that we will figure out eventually. For now, the systems just have to clear out, and we gotta keep an eye on the numbers over here to see what they like to do. Why would they be going down? I don't know. Wait, I do know. I didn't bring over the copper powder from over there. Okay, yeah, I'll do that as well, and then these numbers should be fine. This is all to say we can move on to the next and possibly final stage. Building the 120 particle accelerators. And because a lot of the work I was doing was so time consuming, I just had time to think about how we will design the factory here. And pretty much it's going to be simple, but require a lot of creative detailing. Essentially, I want to make something like a star. Sorry, let me paint this really quick. There we go. Yes, something like a star, where we're gonna have a center that will distribute items or something, and then we'll have all the rows of particle accelerators going out from the center. And that's kind of it. We want just giant rows of particle accelerators. We don't just want like a farm just laid out flat across the biome. So I was like, oh, you know what? This can work. Yeah, each row will again just have the 15 in it. And once we have enough materials, we'll be able to look through each of the rows, and it should look really, really, really trippy, especially if we mix in like lights and signs and all that kind of fun jazz. And it'll also give us a ton of room to do like a really funky centerpiece design. Though that centerpiece will be extremely annoying to build, I already know it. But hey, this is one of the final projects in the entire world. If there is ever a time to abide by the rule of cool, this is it. Then how do we blend that with the giant pedestal of load balancers and train stations? Well, I'm thinking we'll literally have this be a trophy stand. We'll put all the detail in the particle accelerators, and then we'll have like a really, really basic box underneath it, just holding the particle accelerators up. And that is pretty much it. So we'll have our starter, and back to the horrifically grindy work. Extend that out in all the directions, and then start the real grind. Setting up the 120 particle accelerators. Because I already know, even with all the items I have stored, that I am going to run out. And then, so much pain. In fact, wait a second. How many cooling systems will I need? 50 times 120? Oh, 6,000. Quick wire? 60,000. 3,000 fused modular frames. And 1,200 supercomputers and turbo motors. Is that right? Okay, you know what? I don't want to really start this. I'm too scared. Let's see if we can raid our bases. Mostly for those cooling systems. I'm pretty sure we have like tons and tons of fused modular frames stored up for our pressure conversion cubes. It's just I don't know if we ever built cooling systems, honestly. No cooling systems. Alclad sheets. Oh, don't tell me that the only source of cooling systems in our entire world is just down in here in these handfuls of bins. Like in our factory here, this is what supplies my dimensional depot. And we have a total of 2,000 of these? How many do we need? 6,000, okay, yeah, okay, great. But we're making like a quadrillion a minute, right? A quadrillion, 36% clock speed. Okay, maybe I can optimize this, but in any world, it's only 30 per minute. That's still like over an hour of waiting in production time. And then supercomputers, we only needed 1,200. And look at that, 1 box. Give me that. And what about my collection bins? 3,000 of that, yes? Oh my gosh, I'm so smart and handsome and great. Okay, we're good on cooling systems. Turbo motors, that's already brought over. Oh wait, we already had the supercomputers, even better. And the quick wire, oh geez, let me out of here. Ah! Look, the quick wire is gonna be fine. I have a bunch stored up, but I know I have bins of this all over. Good, actually great. It means most of my time will actually just be in setting up the machines. And my gosh, after all is said and done, it's gorgeous. This was absolutely the right play. We don't even have like decorations done, but even just like this, it's like, what? This is wild stuff. You know, getting into this project, I really didn't think about how 120 particle accelerators would look once built, but oof, gotta say, this is definitely better than expected. And this is just the beginning. We don't even have the items moving and grooving just yet. Oh, and then the detailing. Oh, the detailing is gonna be awesome. I had a really great idea with how we're gonna actually decorate all this. Earlier in the episode, I said I wanted to encase these because I didn't want like the busyness of like the backgrounds to kind of steal the thunder from the particle accelerators. Like if you're looking over this way, the cliff, it's too much. Just wanna see the electricity and all the details in these bad boys. So the plan is simple and dare I say elegant. First up, I was thinking, oh, what if we just do like a barn kind of thing? Set up a wall, paint it black, call it a day. And you know what? That would actually look pretty good. Just have that on both sides, throw a roof down, some lights on top, and there you have it. Scale that all the way through each of the rows. And as a bonus, we have easy walls to work with for belt work. But this also kind of looks like a barn. And I don't want this to look like a barn. But we don't have a lot of options. At least not with the walls. But we know what we do have an option with? Billboards. Billboards are here to save the day. If you didn't know, you can press Control and you can have the billboards lie flat against either a surface or against the ceiling. But the amazing thing is that also applies to beams. Beams which can be put on any diagonal you want. So if you have a beam like that, custom little angle, throw this on, and there you go. You have a cool like backside, which can be our new roof. And on the inside, we can make this a shiny sign by getting rid of all the nonsense. Boom! Big light, crazy angle, acts as a roof. It's all of our solutions in one. Now we just need to make something that we can blueprint. Probably in a Mark III blueprint maker. So we'll add in a particle accelerator just to work around. Then we'll start mucking with beams. So down here, have a beam go up. At some point, it's at least just going straight, we'll have like a really nice angle that really hugs the line with the particle accelerator. Go to the top here. And then actually we only really need to build half because then we can just save that as a blueprint and flip it around. So if this can work, we're chilling. So again, large billboard. We'll start with the top here. And for splitting it in half, that could get annoying. Maybe we leave it off the top for now. We'll build them on the side here. Line them up. Apparently I guessed the distance literally perfectly because I'm so smart and I didn't guess totally for real. And then as for these walls, you know what? If the signs can be the roof, the signs can be the walls. Oh yeah, and you know what? The whole idea with encasing these is so we see the particle accelerators more, right? So if we got rid of that, matte, no emission strength, just a void. Well, now there's nothing else to see because all there is particle accelerator. Outside wise though, well, we have our beams. This is gonna have to be moved up a bit. And now I actually have to use like my brain power. A lot of today has just been doing things over and over again. Give me a minute here. And let me put together this bad boy. So pretty much the entire same concept, spaced out properly with the billboards all painted black, where I built this side first, then mirrored it to the other side. And then once both were together, I put another billboard to kind of bridge the gap in the middle, along with some beams to add some extra color, because it's a little too metally, you know? You know what? When we like extend this out as well, it might still be a little too metally, which is why everything can be solved with more signs. That's right, more signs on the outside of the other signs that are acting as roofs and walls. It's maybe a little much, okay? Maybe a little much, but I like that it's a little much. This is the Nuclear Pasta Project, the end of Armageddon. If there's a time to go all out, this is the time. And now I must return to mindless spam. First getting these in place. All right, then we just blueprint auto-connect all the way down the line. At least once they decide to actually behave. Thank you very, what, much? Oh no, not this again. I didn't even think about the materials. These take 73 crystal oscillators each to build. Are you for real? Encased industrial beams? Oh, no, wait. I know for a fact we have encased industrial beams all over the place. Now, before I zone out here, let's go and grab the goods. Oh, I also just have my bin here. Nice. But no, I don't think we'll even need that. Downstairs, for our pressure conversion cube project, I set up lots of machines, most of which are not running fully, so that means we can yoink some material. And all of these assemblers here in this chunk are making encased industrial beams going into this one little bin. Well, this one little bin, we're now going to be joined by a few little friends. So just have a splitter there, scoot the items over this way. And technically speaking, these encased industrial beams are being used for our nuclear power plant, so we definitely want a smart splitter set up so that some items can go to their normal production line. In fact, that is going to be the primary thing. But if we have extra, we can gotta use them right now in our dimensional depots. And we can just do the same thing with quartz crystals that we're making over here. And then the crystal oscillators are somewhere around as well. Yeah, there'll be a little bit of extra work, but at the end of the day, we are going to be just fine. And the real question is, after all of this is said and done to each of the rows, how will this turn out? Oh my gosh, it was all worth it. It was all worth it. I thought I was going to overkill with the signs. No, it was perfect. Everything perfect. This is exactly how I wanted things to look. Almost. I love this, okay? This is the direction we're going. Making the centerpiece is gonna be a whole mess. There does need to be like one little teensy change, and that is that these arms, I guess, are way too long. I like how it looks from the inside. Oh my gosh, I haven't even shown you guys how it looks from the inside. Behold! It's gorgeous. Got some little lights on top there. All these particle accelerators will be making some noise. You can see all the way down through the other aisle as well. Like, it's very, 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 very cool. But yeah, from the outside, it just looks too long. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut them down by 5 per row. So there's gonna be 10 in each row instead, and we'll just have to overclock them to 150%, which will use quite a bit more power, but again, we are playing by the rule of cool. Ooh, and actually something I have not been checking out is how are we doing throughput-wise? The copper powder has been running through for a minute. What are the numbers looking like? Still 780, really? Okay, that's kind of weird. Something might be odd. Okay, but anyway, I'll cut down these sides and we'll go from there. Hopefully it looks a little bit better. And again, we're going from this to that. And you know what? I like this a heck of a lot better. Not just because the centerpiece is now done, which I'll show you in a moment, but also it just makes the building look a little bit more coherent. Like when the sides are going out so far as, I don't know, it's just too much. This is better. Oh my gosh, the centerpiece here. It looks relatively simple. When you're working with all these kinds of angles, let me assure you, this was not. I don't even want to get into it, to be honest. Just take a look for some inspiration. Wow, wow, wow. Got the core, we're going Iron Man out here, and we're chilling. And from the inside, got a cool center light, did some cool pillar stuff, and by clipping the roof stuff and blueprints together, we ended up with these cool little enclaves of screens, and I put like a pillar in between, and it's like, all right, not the bad. We might even put like a nuclear pasta in here as well. I'm not 100% sure. There's probably gonna be a lot of nuclear pasta moving and grooving around this zone, just because it's all being made here. It's 60 per minute. It might be a little overkill to have pasta on display. We'll see, because we are not dealing with the interior stuff today, or even the belt work today, because this alone has taken like 30 hours. And I still wanna do one more thing. You see like our little pedestal that our star is on? It's not centered, guys. It's not centered. So yeah. We're gonna change that real nice and quick. Just gonna have to reroute all the trains as well again, get rid of all the belt work, move all the platforms, just all that kind of stuff. ImKibitz, why are you doing this though? Why don't you just put the star centered on this platform first? Because if the star was centered on the train platform, this arm of it was going into that cliff, and then the whole thing wouldn't work. So it's like, oh, okay, guess we're dealing with this now. Yeah, I feel like it's been a bit of a running theme with this entire project. Just nothing's been all too difficult, except for building like this cover here. And those things have just taken forever. But at least now the trains are centered. I made like a really basic pedestal just as a placeholder. And then we will be detailing this and bringing it online soon. However, that is gonna be all for now. So if you enjoyed, remember to subscribe for more. And until next time, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and bye-bye.